happy you've joined us for our Cooking Through the Calendar recipe. And that recipe today is Cajun seasoned fish and rice. And hopefully you will really enjoy it as we go through, and I encourage you to try it. Also, another program that we have to offer and recipe cards that we have here at the Extension office are with our Cook Wild program, and they actually call for freshwater fish fillets, catfish, catch of the day, whatever you might be catching and getting ready to prepare. So if you would like copies of those, feel free to ask for them. Call the office at 743-3292 and ask for them. And I'm Nellie Buchanan, Morgan County Extension Agent for Family and Consumer Sciences, here with you to share this recipe today on the Cajun seasoned fish. And we actually have our Cooking Through the Calendar, we call our little program, and we do have extra copies of this particular calendar. Doesn't have to be the month that it's pictured for. You may cook it at any time. But as you can see, it's very colorful. It has the ingredients you need, directions to prepare, a gorgeous picture, and then also a calendar that we like to focus on you getting physical activity each day and having some fun moving so that we stay healthy and fit. And this year's calendar does really focus on healthy foods. And those that have been in class with us have really been enjoying it, and we hope you will too. So I have gathered our ingredients, and let's just go over those kind of quickly. We have a tablespoon of paprika. We have a tablespoon of dried oregano, and you may use the oregano leaves, or you could use ground. That's up to you, or whatever you have in stock. And then next we have garlic powder, and I like to use the powders versus the salt so that we're not adding sodium to the recipe. And I promise you, if you follow the recipe, I think you will have plenty of salt in it. And then 1 teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of butter, and a teaspoon of black pepper. And those are our main ingredients in our seasoning. And then you're welcome to use, the recipe actually calls for a frozen blend that I have not been able to find, but this one's pretty close. It's a 3-pepper onion blend. The one that it calls for had onions, celery, peppers, and parsley. Now, if you don't have those, can't find them, you can certainly substitute a pepper and an onion and chop those for the vegetable portion. And again, it's limited to what you have in stock. If you have frozen peppers, use those. If you have onions, use those, and make that blend your own. And then we have 3 cups of cooked brown rice that we'll be actually serving our fish on. And that's a healthy dish to use. Our nonstick spray, and then 1.5 pounds of thawed fish. And I want to talk about the fish here just for a minute. Let me move one of these over. So we do like to promote fish because the American Heart Association actually recommends that we consume fish at least 1 time per week. And a serving is 3 ounces, so that's the size of the palm of our hand. Or on the fish, now some of this is thicker and some thinner, that would be a portion about that size, would be a serving size. See, that's just about the size of the palm of my hand. So it does call for 1.5 pounds per recipe. Now I have some varieties today of fish that we'll be using. We have pollock, we have haddock, and we have cod. And I will show you those. And of course, some of them are more expensive than others. Some are more readily available than others. And you may like one or the other better. So you make your choice on the fish, but it is very healthful for us. One thing I like to ask people, since we're we are land lovers here. We're away from the ocean and not near the fresh water or the salt water to have a lot of access to fish. So basically, as I was growing up, we had fried fish only. That was just how we had it. That was the call of the day, was fried fish. And there's nothing wrong with fried fish as long as you stick with that serving size. And but we really want to introduce this kind of what I call a dry fried, but so you get that crispiness on the outside from the seasoning, but you don't get the extra calories from fat. So again, we get good, healthy fat from fish. We get omega-3 fatty acids, which are very healthy. Many times when we go to the doctor, they check our LDL and HDL levels. So our good level, we need to get that omega-3 fatty acid, and that is very healthful for us. There are some people question where fish come from and what types are not healthy for you. There are a couple of types that women who are pregnant should not consume more often than about once a month. But otherwise, it's very healthful. And if you have more questions on that, you're welcome to contact me about that. So our fish we're using today is what I kind of like to refer to as a white fish. And as you can see, those are very white. This one is the haddock. And this piece is the cod fillets, and you can notice that these are a little bit thicker. Now, the other beauty of using fish is that it is a fast food. Can you believe that? Now, while you're watching me today, you may think it's not quite as quick as it should be, but I promise you it cooks very quickly. These fillets were frozen, and then I just placed them in cold water, and they have actually thawed in about 10 minutes or less. So it's very quick. Just place them when you get home if you're working or traveling. Put your fish in a bowl of cold water in the package. You want to keep it within the package so it doesn't soak up the water. And then it will be ready to prepare by the time you make your seasoning mix, because that's what I did in preparation today. So again, we hope you will enjoy that and see how quickly this actually comes together. So let's get all of our ingredients here. One of the first things we're going to do is we're going to melt 1 tablespoon of butter in a saucepan, and then we can add the 10-ounce portion of the frozen veggies. Just melt that butter a little bit, add the 10-ounce package of frozen veggies, and yes, if you look close, this one says 12, but I'm just going to use the whole package. It will be fine. Or your pepper and green onion, and then you will cook that and stir that just until those veggies, the frozen ones, just until they're hot through, the pepper and the onion just until the onion begins to look clear. And then at that point, we will add our brown rice. So we're going to pause just a moment and get that ready to prepare. All right, we have sauteed or warmed our mixed vegetables, our peppers and our onions, our frozen mixed blend, and we have those prepared. We did our tablespoon of butter with that. And now we're going to add our 3 cups of cooked brown rice. And we like to use brown rice because it is a whole grain. It still has all the good parts of that kernel left on. It has not been stripped off, so you get more nutrients from brown rice than you do white rice. And I like to think it's also more flavorful. So if you haven't tried it, I encourage you to. And there's even instant brown rice now, so that it doesn't take very long for you to prepare it. So that's a nice thing. Also, I did want to mention that any of the brands that we are using today. We are not endorsing those brands or trademarks. It just happened to be what was available at the store when we purchased it, or what we had here at the office. So we're not identifying any particular product. Whatever is available to you. All right, so we have that all mixed up nicely, and then we're going to set that aside and we're going to prepare our fish. And I think you'll be surprised at what short time it takes to cook that fish. All right, we have our rice and our vegetable mix finished. So now we're going to season up our fish and get that ready to fry. So what we're going to do, I have mixed together all of our seasonings, and this is our Cajun seasoning mix. And you can certainly make this up ahead, store it, and have it for whenever you want to use it. So we're going to spray the fish on all sides with nonstick spray. And then I'm going to flip that over to my plate. And you always want to, like chicken and other meat products, after you handle those, you want to be sure and wash your hands well. All right, I think I'm going to do 2 of those at a time. So then we're just going to sprinkle that on. I'm going to be a little bit generous because I'm going to flip it on this plate and get the other side. Okay, there's one. And I had additional seasoning to kind of go off there, so we'll get that for the next piece. And we are using, we're going to be using a cast iron skillet, and I would recommend that you use a very well seasoned cast iron skillet, because fish does have a tendency to stick just a little if it has a dry. This becomes more like a dry rub on the fish, so you want to make sure that that is seasoned very well. Get our other piece over here. Now let's see if I can spill a little more seasoning here. Good thing I used a little cutting board. All right. And I think I did fail to mention one other thing. When you're preparing this, the instructions call for 1 teaspoon of the seasoning in the rice and vegetable mix. So you just kind of do that when you get it prepared, stir that in, and then save the rest to coat your fish. Okay. Get some of that up off that plate. Now that looks really tasty. I don't know how you all like things, but I'm beginning to really like the dry rub method better than some of the saucier sauces that we use. I think you get more flavor in those. So we have these seasoned, and now we're going to go fry them up. We are now frying our fish, and we are using the cast iron skillet. And when preparing with cast iron, I did coat it just a little bit. You can use the non-stick spray. I was a little skeptical, so I added just a little, maybe a teaspoon of oil. You certainly can use the cast iron, or you can use a non-stick piece of cookware, a skillet or wok. This works well. When you're cooking fish, you want that on medium to medium-high heat, so that it will cook fairly quickly but will not scorch and burn. So we're going to let this cook about 3 minutes, and these particular fillets of fish are a little thinner, so it should not take them more than 3 minutes to be ready to turn. We've been 3 minutes, and we're going to give this fish a toss, and I'm using tongs, and that piece did very well. Now you can use whatever implement you want or tool you want to turn it. I have already cut this into some smaller pieces for samples today. And as you can see, the fish is already beginning to turn white, right there in particular. So that's what we want to see. We want to see that white fish. All right, now we're going to plate up our Cajun seasoned fish and rice, and I think this looks really tasty. It's about a serving size, maybe a little generous. And then we serve this with a half a cup. And I'm not measuring right now because I think that's pretty close. And of course you can serve that to the side, or if you have a smaller dish or a pasta bowl that you want to serve that in, you can certainly place that fish on top. So I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you try the recipe. We'll have a copy of it for you, or you're welcome to call the office to get one. This is Nellie Buchanan, Morgan County Extension Agent for Family and Consumer Sciences Education for the University of Kentucky College of Agriculture, Food, and Environment.